If you are looking to speak better English and you also like watching the news, this is the perfect channel for you. In today's English lesson, we are going to talk about peace possibly coming to Palestine. Hostages are supposed to be released. Hamas is still holding 47 of them. It seems that 20 are still alive. Hopefully, the pictures and videos we see of young children, women, babies being harmed will end. Today, we are going to watch a news clip from CNN. Normally, they don't like President Trump, but I was surprised to see they gave him some credit for this peace deal. But the clock is ticking. Hamas has 72 hours to turn over those hostages. Before we watch the clip, if you don't mind, hit that like button. It really helps other English learners find this lesson. And let's watch the clip together.
Israeli police confirm the president is expected to visit Israel on Monday. The Israeli military says the U.S. brokered ceasefire in Gaza is now in effect. Thousands of displaced Palestinians are now making the trek north to Gaza City as the Israeli military pulls out from agreed upon areas.
For each of the terms, I think there are about 25 of them. I will have a picture for you. I will have the official definition and I will use it in at least one sentence. If you have been watching this channel for any length of time, this could be review. A ceasefire. A ceasefire is an agreement to stop fighting for a time. Hopefully, this is a permanent ceasefire. That means they will never start fighting again. Let's make that picture a little better. You can see there are two soldiers shaking hands. Hey, it definitely looks like they are no longer fighting. The two sides agreed to a ceasefire after many days of war. Next, we have the verb brokered. Brokered, is that difficult to pronounce? It means arranged or helped to make an agreement. And it seems like President Trump helped broker this deal. Let's make that picture a little better. Again, we have a couple gentlemen shaking hands and somebody in the middle. Maybe that person in the middle is a mediator. We'll talk about what a mediator is in a little bit. But here's the sentence for brokered. The peace deal was brokered by the United Nations. Israel is supposed to withdraw their troops from Gaza, but we have the noun withdrawal. And I know that is difficult to say. Even I have trouble saying it, withdrawal. That's when soldiers or troops leave a place. And again, we have a sentence here. The army's withdrawal from the city began last night. So there is the noun, but you could also withdraw money from an ATM or make a withdrawal. You can also make a withdrawal from the ATM. So many of these terms are sad, and this next one certainly is sad. Displaced. Displaced, that means forced to leave your home because of war or danger. Sometimes in the United States, Americans are displaced because of bad weather. But unfortunately, in Palestine or Gaza, people were displaced because of war. Let's make that picture just a little bit bigger. Thousands of people were displaced after the major rainstorm. Next, we have a trek. And a trek is a long and difficult journey on foot. Now, in the picture, this family is trekking, or maybe there are a couple families there. They are trekking up a mountain. So this is a little bit more fun than what is going on in Palestine right now. Families made a long trek back to their homes in Gaza City. And if you look at the thumbnail for this video, in the middle, you can see a lot of people trekking back to their homes in Gaza or what is left of their homes. I know there is a lot of rebuilding to do there. My heart goes out to everyone who lost a home, who lost a loved one in Palestine. English phrasal verbs, they are always a difficult thing to understand for English learners, but let's talk about one right here. pulls out. There are a couple different meanings for this English phrasal verb. You can pull money out from an ATM, but this is a little different. Leaves or stops being involved. Withdrawal. So there's that word again. Let's make the picture a little bigger. The country pulls out its soldiers from the region. Yeah, and in the picture, you can see some military vehicles leaving a city.
Israeli vehicles, military vehicles, are on the move, apparently pulling back from some areas. This officially starts the 72-hour clock for Hamas to release the hostages, 47 who were kidnapped in the October 7th, 2023 attacks are still in Gaza. At least 20 are still believed to be alive. In an address to the nation today, to Israel today, the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu implied for the first time that not all the remains of the deceased hostages will return. Let's get right to CNN's Jeremy Diamond with the latest from Tel Aviv, where I know this nation, the entire nation, watching all these events so closely. Jeremy.
Absolutely, and we are continuing to see people flock here to Hostage Square in order to, celebrate this moment together of all of these hostages who will be now returning within the next 72 hours. We know that that timeline has now started because the Israeli military confirmed at noon today that they had completed their withdrawal from parts of Gaza. And once they completed that, that means that a ceasefire, according to them, is officially in effect, and also that Hamas now has 72 hours to return the hostages, which could put the return of the hostages as late as, but perhaps sooner than, Monday at noon. And that also suggests that President Trump's visit on Monday will coincide quite shortly thereafter or right before the release of those hostages.
Again, we have a few meanings for this word, but in the newscast, they used it like this. Address. Address. It means to speak to a group or nation. The president will address the people about the new ceasefire. Please let me interrupt this English lesson for just a second to tell you that I am offering speaking classes. If you would like someone to practice with so you can improve your English, I could be that guy. Use the code FALL15 to get 15% off your speaking lesson. Remain can mean to stay in one place, but remains is a noun and it means what is left of a dead person's body. Remember earlier in the lesson, I said there were 27 hostages still being kept, but most people think they are dead. Well, their remains should be returned to the family. The remains of the victims were found under the building. Deceased. It's a very formal way to say that somebody has died. The deceased were honored in a special ceremony. Again, if you have been watching this channel for any length of time, you know this word. So it's probably review. Hostage. That is a person held by force during a conflict. Let's get a sentence for hostage. The group released the last hostages after the agreement. And as I'm recording this right now, no hostages have been released by Hamas, but that is part of the deal. 72 hours they have to release those remaining hostages. In the newscast, they mentioned Hostage Square. That is a public place where people gather to support or remember hostages. You could use this in your everyday conversations if you would like. It's a good word to say instead of maybe, perhaps. Perhaps. You might sound a little smarter if you say perhaps. Maybe I should start saying perhaps instead of maybe. But you can see the definition down there. Maybe. Not for sure. Perhaps I will study my English today. Perhaps not. Well, today you definitely said you will perhaps study your English today because you are doing it right now. A great word here, coincide. Coincide. That means two things are happening at the same time. Look at this picture. Very sad. Not as sad as what's going on in Palestine, of course, but this person wanted to attend a baseball game. Unfortunately, they had a meeting that coincided with the game. The sentence below. The baseball game coincides with my meeting, so I will not be able to go.
And perhaps we will see President Trump actually being able to greet some of those hostages. We know, of course, that here in Hostage Square yesterday we saw a lot of American flags in the air, a lot of people thanking and crediting President Trump directly for his role in securing this agreement that is not only going to secure the release of all of the hostages, but according to the president and the mediators, is also ending the war in Gaza once and for all. We are already beginning to see in Gaza how people are reacting to this, not only the celebrations, but as you mentioned, the thousands of people who are beginning to move along Al-Rashid Street, that coastal road in Gaza, to head back to Gaza City. Of course, before this agreement, we saw hundreds of thousands of people who were forced to be displaced from Gaza City as a result of that Israeli military offensive, and now many of them are starting to return home. But so many more pieces to the puzzle remain in the days ahead. The Prime Minister today suggesting for the first time that some of the bodies of those deceased hostages may not be returned immediately alongside the 20 living hostages. The International Committee of the Red Cross have said that they will be assisting in helping to locate and ultimately recover the bodies of hostages that may be under the rubble in parts of the Gaza Strip.
Apparently, it seems like something is true. Take a look at this picture. One of my favorite foods, pizza, and apparently this town has the best pizza. That's a town called New Haven, Connecticut. But how about this sentence? Apparently, peace is coming to Gaza. We've been here before, right? Peace was close before, and then things fell through. They didn't happen, which is why I am saying apparently peace is coming to Gaza. I sure hope so. Crediting. Again, this is not easy to say, but it is saying that someone deserves praise or thanks. It seemed like CNN was crediting Trump with some of the peace plan, maybe not all of it. And I think Egypt deserves some credit too. Many are crediting Egypt for helping to stop the fighting. Securing. Here we have a verb, and it means making something safe or protected, making something secure. Here in the picture, we have a guard. The guard was securing the building before going home for the night. The guard is probably locking doors, setting the security system. Implied. That means suggested something without saying it directly. Now, this woman in the picture, maybe she's not saying she's mad, but whoa, looking at her face, it would certainly imply that she was mad. Here's a sentence. She didn't say it directly, but she implied that she was angry. I mentioned mediators before. Those are people who help two sides solve a problem peacefully. Let's make that picture a little bigger and let's get the sentence. The mediators worked for days to reach a deal. Coastal. That is a good adjective to know. It simply means near the ocean or the sea. My state in the United States is a coastal state. We border the ocean. And here's a beautiful picture. That might be my state of Maine. I'm not sure. The coastal area is famous for its beaches and seafood. Native English speakers use this English phrasal verb all the time. Head back. It simply means to return to a place. In this picture, it looks like this woman is looking for her phone, and she might have to head back to her house because she forgot her phone. I forgot my phone, so I had to head back home to get it. Oh, AI. AI has made all of these images, and sometimes they don't quite understand idioms. Let's get the definition first. Pieces to the puzzle. That means parts that help explain or complete a situation. So in the picture, we have a detective, and they are gathering clues or pieces to the puzzle to try to solve a crime. The detective found the last piece to the puzzle and solved the crime. One of the pieces to the puzzle might be they interviewed an eyewitness, somebody who saw the crime. But in the picture, they actually have a detective putting together a puzzle. Yeah, we call that thing at the bottom of the picture a puzzle in English. Do you know the Red Cross in English? It has several different names around the world, but it is an international organization, which means you can find it in many different countries, that helps people in emergencies such as war or natural disasters. The Red Cross is bringing medicine and food to Gaza. Next, we have phase, and that is a stage or a part of the process. So, this peace deal has several phases or stages. And the first phase is that Hamas has to release those hostages. But this poor little baby here in the picture is going through a phase of crying right before bedtime. Let's get the sentence. The baby is in a phase where she cries a lot before going to bed. Hopefully, you are in a phase of your life where you are studying a lot of English. Resolution. Resolution. This is the ending or solution to a problem or a story. Here it looks like we have a peaceful resolution. The movie had a happy resolution when the families made peace. You did it. Congratulations on making it to the end of another English lesson. Right down there are a whole bunch of other English lessons about Gaza and Israel. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.